As we get started with the shapes tutorial, we're going to just look at a couple of things before we actually start drawing. So let's go ahead and zoom in. I'm going to hold down the Alt key and zoom, and I'm going to change my name spelling. Get my type tool here and just click on that. If it pops up a warning when you just hit OK and you should be able to click on it again. I'm going to type my name. All right, I'll zoom back out here. And the next thing we want to take a peek at, and I'm moving to page 4 of your instructions, is we want to be able to just kind of see what we're actually viewing. And so we're going to look under the layers in our layers palette or panel. And if I click on, I can click on it over here, the little icon for it looks like stacked pieces of paper. If you don't find it there, go under window and then down to layers. But here we are. As you can see, there are these little, they look like eyeballs, and it's basically showing us what we can see. If I turn off this eyeball, everything that's on that layer goes away. Same thing, if I turn off this one, I lose all those little anchor points. So you want to make sure that all of these are turned on, that all the eyes are visible, and you also want to make sure that this top layer is the one that's selected because that's where you want to be doing your drawing, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and just lock a little lock symbol, lock these anchor points because I don't want to move them around. So now that I have that done, I'm in pretty good shape to start. I'm going to go ahead and close that and we'll get moving. Okay, now we're ready to start drawing our umbrella. First, I want to zoom in, and I can hold down the Alt key and scroll in, or another option I can use is this zoom tool. Shortcut is Z, but I can highlight around my umbrella and get a pretty good zoom on it to really see what's happening. Okay, it's time for me to start working with the pen tool. I'm going to start with this corner right here. Now, before I actually get started drawing, there's something I need to fix here. I'm going to look at my fill and my stroke. And when I'm drawing on this, eventually I'll want to add a fill to it, but to start, it's going to be really hard to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to take out the fill, and I'm going to put a stroke on this. Okay, now I'm ready to go. Now, when I look at this first anchor point, I've got this curve here, and then I've got this nice curve here. So when I draw that anchor point, I'm going to set my directional points to be ready for this curve that I'm going to come back around when I join these objects. So in order to do that, I'm actually going to leave that little directional point right there, and now I'm going to hold down Alt to set my next directional point. Perfect. Okay, now I'm ready for the next point. I'm going to set that, too far down. Set that directional point like that, and I'm holding down Alt to move this directional point where it needs to be. I'm going to do that. Move this up to set it. I'm going to set my next anchor point, get that curve just right, and I'm going to hold down Alt to move that up. Okay, and now I'm ready to combine these. And if I got that point right to start, which I did, it's a pretty minor fix. All right, now I have my completed shape. That looks perfect. I am now ready to draw the stick that the umbrella sits on. So we're going to come over to use the pen tool again. And sometimes we overthink this one. This is just a simple click, 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 click to put it all together. So I'm going to click, I'm going to click, I'm going to come down here and click. And then anytime I'm closing off these shapes, I want to make sure I'm really joining that last path. Okay, that's complete. Let's look at it. That is not complete. Okay, but when I get it right on the, I got a little disconnected there. But when I get right on the dot, that's connected. Perfect. Okay, I'll zoom back in here. Okay, Now we need to just add some little details on here. I'm looking at page 8 and I'm on step 11 and we need to create a gradient mesh. It's a really fun thing to do. The first thing I need to do is in order to create a gradient, you're going to be creating the gradient on the fill. And right now, since we don't have a fill, that's going to be an issue. So I am, just going to swap my fill and my stroke. And now I'm going to go to Object, um, Create Gradient Mesh. It's kind of in here toward the top middle. And I'm going to use the settings that they give us in the book. So this is to do 3, 3, to center, and 75%. And let's see what that looks like. Do the preview here. That looks like what I'm going for. So I'm going to hit OK. All right, so that's what the gradient mesh looks like, but let's look at what it actually does, and we'll go a step further than what's in the book. If I want to edit any of those gradient mesh points, you can see that they've put them out that are just like any other sort of anchor point, that if I use my direct select tool to click on it, I can now move it around and adjust how it works. I can also, if I wanted to, with that point selected, and again I'm using my direct select tool for that, but with that point selected I could add in a different bit of color and give it a different point. Those gradient mesh tools can be really handy in a lot of different ways, and so that's just something to keep in mind as you're as you're working in Illustrator on other projects. Let's see. Now, for the stick down here, I'm not gonna go with that blue color. I'm gonna set the fill on that to a brown because it just feels more like an umbrella. Sorry. And once I have that done, I'm done with the umbrella and we're ready to move on to path 2.